The story of Nate Jacobs in the television series Euphoria is, at its core, a story about a storm trying to find a container that can hold it. From a young age, Nate was filled with a volatile mixture of aggression, confusion, and a desperate need for control, feelings that were tragically seeded and nurtured by the toxic environment of his home and the traumatic discovery of his father's hidden life. In looking for a way to manage this internal hurricane, Nate turned to the world of high school football, a space where aggression isn't just allowed, it is celebrated, coached, and strategically weaponized. The question of whether sports served as a sanctioned outlet for his aggression is a complicated one. On a superficial, immediate level, it absolutely did work. Football gave Nate a clear, socially approved channel for all that fury. On the field, the rules were different. The violent impulses that made him a danger in the hallways or at home were transformed into assets. A hard tackle wasn't an outburst of rage, it was a display of strength and dedication. The urge to dominate and inflict his will on others was rebranded as leadership and competitive spirit. The football field became the one place where the very things that tormented him, his anger, his physicality, his need to win at all costs, were rewarded with cheers, respect, and a sense of identity. He wasn't the troubled son of a manipulative father. He was a star athlete, a pillar of the community, a symbol of masculine success. This identity was his armor, and for a while, it seemed to hold. However, this outlet functioned less like a release valve and more like a pressure cooker. The problem with using sports as the sole container for such deep-seated psychological issues is that the game eventually ends. The whistle blows, the pads come off, and the sanctioned aggression has to be packed away until the next practice or game. But for Nate, the aggression wasn't a tool he could put down, it was the engine of his being. The structure of sports didn't teach him how to dismantle that engine or understand its faulty wiring. It simply gave him a specific track to run it on. So when he stepped off that track, the engine kept roaring, now redirected into every other part of his life. His relationship with Maddy became a brutal exhibition of this. He didn't stop being controlling and terrifying when he left the field. He just applied those same tactics of dominance and intimidation to his girlfriend. The chokehold, the constant surveillance, the explosive jealousy, these were the plays from his personal playbook, where the goal was total control and the opponent was anyone who challenged his authority. His feud with Fezco wasn't a sports rivalry, it was a street war, but Nate approached it with the same win-at-all-costs mentality he learned in competition, just without any of the rules or referees. Even his manipulation of Jules, a scheme born from his father's secrets and his own self-loathing, was executed with the cold, strategic precision of a quarterback reading a defense. The aggression, now twisted and unchecked, fueled a campaign of psychological warfare. In fact, one could argue that football didn't mitigate his aggression. It simply legitimized and refined it, making it more effective and more dangerous. The discipline of sports taught him how to focus his rage, not how to dissolve it. It taught him how to use his body as a weapon within a set of boundaries, which then made him adept at finding ways to weaponize his words, his social status, and the law when physical boundaries were in place. The outlet became a training ground. He learned about leverage, about exploiting weakness, about the power of intimidation, all valuable skills on the gridiron, but catastrophic when imported into personal relationships. The culture surrounding his sports stardom also insulated him from consequences. Because he was the quarterback, the golden boy, the community and the systems around him were inclined to look the other way, to make excuses, to enable his behavior. This created a frightening feedback loop. His aggression made him a better athlete, his athletic success protected his aggression, and that protection allowed the aggression to grow and mutate into something far beyond the field. The sanctioned outlet, therefore, didn't reduce the overall pressure, it increased his capacity for pressure while convincing everyone, including perhaps Nate himself, that it was under control. Ultimately, the tragedy of Nate Jacobs is that the thing that seemed to save him, the structure, identity, and purpose of sports, actually played a central role in his downfall. It provided a temporary, performative solution that masked a festering, permanent problem. The aggression wasn't processed or healed, it was just temporarily redirected into a socially useful form. But like any toxic substance, when it's not properly disposed of, it eventually leaks out and poisons everything it touches. The football field was a container, but it was a fragile one, and the internal storm it was trying to hold was far too powerful. When the container inevitably cracked, under the weight of his father's legacy, his own toxic relationships, and the unbearable pressure of his double life, the storm was unleashed with even greater fury because it had been trained, focused, and emboldened. In the end, sports didn't work as a true outlet for Nate's aggression. It worked as an amplifier, a legitimizer, and a disguise, giving a dangerous young man the skills, the status, and the shield to become an even greater danger to himself and to everyone around him. His story is a bleak reminder that while sports can be a powerful tool for channeling youthful energy, they are not a substitute for therapy, for genuine emotional education, or for the hard work of confronting the demons that lurk off the field. For Nate, the game was just another arena for his war, and when the uniform was off, the war simply continued without end.